Welcome to Lunch with Leaders, the podcast where we explore what it takes to lead, thrive, and create lasting impact. I'm Adesileju Dogalanya, a TEDx speaker, leadership strategist, and the founder of African Women in STEM. Each episode features insightful conversations with innovators, trailblazers, and leaders from around the world who are transforming cultures, redefining leadership, and shaping the future of work. Together, we'll share the stories, strategies, and mindsets that will empower women in STEM to amplify the visibility, influence, and impact. If you're ready to lead boldly, amplify your voice, and influence what leadership looks like for women in STEM, hit follow, share this podcast, and join us every week for impactful conversations, powerful stories, and practical strategies. Today, I'm joined by Patrick Hart. Patrick is an award-winning entrepreneur, media executive, and a U.S. Army veteran recognized for transforming personal grit into a thriving media empire. As founder and CEO of PDP Media, Patrick leads a mission-driven organization that empowers professionals and organizations to elevate their visibility through storytelling, brand building, and leadership development. His journey from military to the boardroom has made him a respected voice in healthcare leadership, digital branding, and career empowerment, earning him national and global recognition for his work in educating and inspiring the next generation of leaders. Patrick, welcome to Lunch with Leaders podcast, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, let's get it. Welcome. I'm super excited to be here on this Friday, especially with you, because I've been watching the work you've been doing behind the scenes and it keeps me going.
I know, and I watch you too. I see the incredible people have conversations with and bring forward for professionals to learn from. So today we're going to learn from you because you are doing amazing things. And I am so glad that we're doing this because I learned more about you. You're an Army veteran, so thank you so much for your service.
Pleasure was mine. Thank you.
All right, so how did you develop the passion for storytelling?
Wow.
And how does storytelling connect to brand building, leadership, and career development?
That's a great question. I don't know how I developed the passion for storytelling, but I can tell you this: as a young age, I was always enamored and inspired by listening to other people's journey. Because if you understood my background, I grew up in a single family home. It was only my mom. She stood 4'11", but she had this mighty attitude because she was this young Black woman raising two men, me and my brother. I'm the oldest of two. There's a 5.5 year difference. We grew up in the struggle. And in growing up in the struggle, the only thing you really have is your dreams and beliefs. I was this big dreamer. I wanted to change my life. I wanted to be better than what I came from. Stories really helped me out. As a kid, you read books, watch TV, and listen to people speak, and you'll be inspired by the life they built. That was exciting to me. So on my journey through elevation in the corporate world, what I realized is the power of storytelling, like my own personal story and how it connects and resonates with people who look like me, who also grew up believing that they can change their economical background and build this life that they've always wanted. So for me, storytelling is a game changer. If you look at these massive organizations from around the world, like Nike, who use storytelling to sell their products, people resonate with stories when they can see themselves in that particular situation. So that's why I use digital media to help tell the story. And that's why I connect with leaders like you from around the world to help tell your story, because I think it's so powerful, especially if we can see ourselves in your journey.
Thank you for sharing that, because sometimes we just need to know that people are just like us. Because you talk about your mom and how being powerful, even though you guys were bigger than her. I remember my mom used to tell me, you can grow as tall as you want. I'm still your mom. And just tying your childhood and all the experiences you've had into what you're doing now and being able to tell people that this is who I am, this is where I come from, and this is where I am today and where you too can be. And it's so relatable because we can be what we can see. And I want to say thank you for sharing that every day with us through the various means that you do. So you have an intriguing career journey. You had a whole career in the Army.
Yes.
And in your own words, you said that you went from turning renters and helicopters. I was really visualizing that. And you went from that to building a multi-million dollar career in healthcare tech. And I know it's not easy to do that. So can you tell us a bit about that, your transition from the Army into healthcare tech, and the biggest challenges that you experienced in that journey and how they shaped you?
So before we even get into the Army, I was this high school athlete who I ran track, and I thought I was going to get a scholarship to run track, but I realized I wasn't quite fast enough to earn that scholarship. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I need to do something. I wanted to go to college, but my mom was a high school dropout. She couldn't help me navigate the collegiate realm, how to get into college, how to apply for applications, how to apply for Pell Grants. She didn't have that. That wasn't her insight. Like, my mom was an everyday hustler. She shot craps for a living in the streets. That's how she made up her money for her lack of education. Here I am, this 17, 18-year-old kid, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to go to college. How am I going to get to college? I had a couple of buddies of mine, best friends to this day, and they decided they were joining the military. And I was like, dude, I'm not joining the military. You guys have fun with that. Who wants to go and shoot up people? And I don't want to do any of that stuff. That wasn't part of my journey, at least I thought. But then here it goes. I'm getting close to high school graduation. The college scholarships are not coming, and I still want to go to college. So I was like, let me give this a little bit more thought. I started thinking more about the military and some of the benefits that I could receive from it. One, I can go to school because the military can help you pay for your school. Two, I could pick up some tactical experience, hands-on experience that I can use once I get out of the military. And three, I can build these fruitful relationships and connections from around the world. For me, the most important part was I get to travel and see the world. I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. Texas was cool. Coming from a major city was cool, but I knew the world had more to offer. So when I joined the military, I got to meet people, I learned to trade, and then I got to see the world. And that path for me was interesting because I knew I wasn't going to be this career-long military guy. I wanted to go in the military, find a skill, and then use that skill. I signed up for 6 years right off the bat. In year 3, I was like, okay, the military's cool. I'm loving what I'm doing. However, I realized I was a metrosexual. If you've never heard the term metrosexual, all it is, I was a guy that was very in touch with myself. I would buy the feminine products, the lotions from Bath and Body Works, from Victoria's Secrets, and I would put the lotions and stuff on because I like to smell good. But there was a conflict of interest. Being a helicopter repairman, technician, you would always have oil underneath your nails, hydraulic fluid. Your shirt was always greasy and dirty. And every time you ate lunch, you reminded yourself of what you did for a living. So here it is, 3 years in, I was like, okay, Patrick, you need to figure out what you want to do with your life. And being a metrosexual, I was like, let me find a job where I can go to work looking good and smelling good and come home the same way in which I went to work. That was my dream. That's my whole dream. That was it right there. Find a job I can go to work looking good, smelling good, and come home the same way that I went to work. 3 years in, I was like, okay, Pat, why fix these darn things? You can fly them. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. When I was transitioning out of the military, I got accepted to Spartan School of Aeronautics in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was a flight school, 4-year degree program. You would end up with your bachelor's degree in aeronautics. And it required me and my family to move to another state. So we made that transition. At this time, my wife had 2 kids. I had 1. Together, we had 3. And we later ended up having a 4th kid. Fresh out of the military, I had no income. I started going to school full time. And then I realized I can't afford flight school. I can't afford this mortgage. I can't afford to feed my family. What am I going to do? So I made a pivot and found the mobile home industry in 2002. It was right after 9/11 because I was in during 9/11 and we actually went on a peacekeeping mission to Bosnia to protect and serve our country during 9/11 as well. My journey started there and then it just went from there. But I can expand more if you would like me to.
Oh my goodness. I am so glad we're having this conversation because I'm learning so much about you. And most people think that success is linear, that you know what you want to do from the very beginning.
Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest? Yeah, even to this day, I still don't know what I want to do, but I know I just need to keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly that. And I used to live in Tulsa too, and I know the school you're talking about because I have friends that went there. We did cross paths because I moved to Tulsa in 2006. So basically, you left flight school, went into mobile home industry, and then what? Because we need to know. We need to know your path.
Definitely. So here it is. At this point, we have 4 kids now. I got 4 boys. My wife, she's working full time while I'm working full time. I started in the mobile home industry. I had to apply for the same position 2 different times. I got rejected the first time and ended up getting it the second time 3 or 4 months later. It all happened for a reason. I started in the mobile home industry doing sales. Within a couple of years, I got promoted to a sales manager. A year later, I got promoted to general manager, which relocated me back to Texas. So me and my family went on this journey again, and we're coming back to Texas. So we ended up moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now, mind you me, I'm from Austin. So Dallas from Austin is about 3-hour difference. So here it is. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm doing great. I'm this young kid, general manager, overseeing sales dealerships, making 6 figures a year. Life is amazing. I'm able to take care of my kids. I'm able to put food on the plate. I'm able to give them the life that I never had, and I'm making money in the process. And then the housing market went to crap in 2007. So here it is, 2007. I'm at this point, I'm working 6 days a week, 80 plus hours. Everybody keeps saying the economy is going to get better. About a year and a half into waiting, I was like, okay, I got to make another pivot. I got to find something else, because it doesn't make sense to work all this time only to be getting less than what I was getting before. So in 2009, I found healthcare and started doing sales and marketing, helping families transition from a home-based setting to a community-based setting. As your mom and dad or your grandparents, they get older and they can't provide care for themselves full-time and they need a little assistance, I would help those people make that transition into a community-based setting. And what I realized about healthcare, I was like, man, healthcare is kind of dope. Like, there's a lot of opportunities here. So I was like, okay, let me stay in healthcare a little bit longer and figure out some things. So I went from independent living, really helping independent folks, to helping folks that needed more assistance, to assisted living. And then I said, okay, now I got independent living, assisted living. Why don't I just keep going with this and pick up some more skills? And so I found memory care as well as skilled nursing. I picked up all those skills within a short amount of time. This is great. But one of the things that I realized in that industry, at least in that segment of healthcare, that a lot of people who look like me wasn't getting those top level positions. And here I am. I used to be a general manager running these multi-million-dollar locations, driving in all this net profit for organizations. I come into healthcare. I knew I had to prove myself because I didn't have that skill set yet. And I came in and started to prove myself, winning all these awards and accolades for sales and marketing activities, only to realize that people who look like me, for whatever reason, wasn't getting those upper management positions. I was like, okay, something has to change. Like, I'm putting myself out there. What more can I do? And so I kept on finding other avenues within healthcare to showcase my skill sets and the talents that I had. Eventually in 2015, I had my big opportunity where I became an executive leader for a technology company, and we were selling electronic health records into the post-acute care space. The industry that I came from is the same industry that I was supporting on the technology side. I reported directly to the CEO. And joining the organization, one of the things that I knew, because working with the CEO, he's going to give you all kind of insights, is that we were backed by this multi-billion-dollar private equity group. And our goal was to gobble up market share and expand our awareness within the market, only to position us to be sold. We realized that in 3.5 years as an executive leader, I helped propel a technology company to be sold for a record-breaking sum at the end of 2018. And that changed my life. It really changed my life, because I was like, okay, Pat, your efforts, your hard work has actually paid off. My bank account reflected my purpose, or at least the value that I felt I needed to get. On the flip side of that, one of the things that was interesting is I'm sitting around, I'm looking around, I'm the only one in the room looking like me. Like, how did I get here? Why do I deserve this? And what about all those other people who are more talented than me, who are smarter than me, who got passed over and they work for the same company? How can I help those people experience something similar as well? And so that stuck in the back of my mind. But my journey went from, okay, you're selling a technology company. Once you sell a technology company, you make all that kind of money. What you want to do is you want to duplicate it. You're like, let's do this again. Let's do it again. And so I went from this company to other startups in the tech space. And not every startup is at the same level. You understand that, right? Especially being an entrepreneur. Some have funding, some have backers, some don't. And there was a lot of failed attempts. I didn't fail myself by putting myself out there. And that was always important to me. If you want to grow as an individual, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Surround yourself with people who have accomplished the things that you wanted to accomplish. That was the beginning of my journey. and later inspired me to create my company, PDP Media, which whole focus and purpose is to help people navigate this leadership path. As leadership is tough and leadership is not for everybody because not everybody wants to deal with other people's shit.
I agree.
That's hopefully I didn't talk too long.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good because I'm going to tell you this. I come from a family we're very academic oriented. So we have a lot of professors and things like that. So entrepreneurship was not really a thing, even though my grandmother on my mother's side, on my dad's side, and my grandmother on my mom's side, they were both entrepreneurs. My grandparents were teachers and headmasters and all of that. But only a couple of years ago, what you're saying about working for a startup and the startup exiting and you making a ton of money was a thing. Prior to that, there was always this concept of job security and not working for a startup because if you work, this was me, I don't know about other people. If you work for a startup, you will have health insurance and you're going to die. But what you said is something, to your point, that many people like us don't know. Because the story that we hear is all about get a good job, be secure so you can take care of your family and have health insurance. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And I'm glad that you brought up the fact that you should always put yourself out there, take risks. Because it's calculated risk at the end of the day, right? But we don't even take the calculated risks at all. So that's why I'm happy that we're having this conversation. I'm happy that you're here. And I'm happy that you're doing the work you do because more of us need to do this.
I should also point out during my journey in that mobile home world, when I got into the mobile home industry, I still did not have a college education. I had 6 years of military experience and high school diploma, and I was building this great career. I got promoted to general manager and all these great things. One of the things that stood in the back of my head is like, okay, Patrick, you have to understand you're a Black man in today's economy. What does that mean? That just means that we generally have to work a little bit harder, showcase a lot more skill set, accomplish more things just to be on that same comparable level as our white counterparts. And so what was going to separate me from everybody else? So I was like, Pat, you need to get your degree. That was the whole purpose of joining the military. You need to get your degree. So while I was raising 4 boys, while I was working full time, I started going to University of Phoenix to get my bachelor's degree. So I ended up successfully completing my bachelor's degree. And then I was like, okay, that's great. You got your bachelor's degree. Let's go one more step. Let's get your master's degree because that's really going to separate you. So I ended up getting my master's degree because I wanted to be more competitive. And so I ended up getting my master's degree. I think that decision as a young professional really helped propel my career more than anything because I wanted to make myself undeniable when I interviewed for any position. You looked at the way I spoke, my academic achievements, you looked at my resume, you looked at my accomplishment. I didn't want anybody to deny me for anything, right? That's what helped me create that persona of hard work. That's what helped me get that technology position. That's what helped me scale multiple organizations and grow revenue was that degree. It was that separator. And then when we talk about my mom didn't have that. She was a high school dropout, but in a sense, she was an entrepreneur because she was an everyday hustler. So even though I didn't have this dad, I had this mom who was this everyday hustler who was an entrepreneur. She didn't have a college education, but what she taught me is grit, determination, and resilience, how to put yourself out there, how to take risks. So for me, it was never in my mind that I wanted to go work for an organization and be there 10, 15, 20, 30 years. That was never my thing. Let me go and have an impact, have an experience, and then pivot from there and move on to bigger and better things. A lot of people are afraid of is like you mentioned before, they're afraid of putting themselves out there. They're afraid of change, the whole insecurity and instability. That's huge. And I get that. Not everybody's wired to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's wired to go from organization to organization. And some people just like stability. And I respect that. Here's my thing. If you're going to do it, be the best version of yourself. So if you're going to be stable in an organization, at least reach for the very tippity top of your career success. That's my 2 cents.
I like that. And then also the whole thing about job security and being safe has gone out of the window.
Yes.
So yesterday I went to the summit and somebody said that once upon a time, it used to be get a job and figure out what is going to make you safe in a sense. But that's what we used to aim for.
Right.
Now it's more like Technology and AI is the thing that you're supposed to try to leverage to stay safe in my job. So life has changed. Even the government work that we used to think was safe, because most people take this job because unless you really do something terrible, you're probably not going to get fired. And then you get benefits when you retire. But things are changing, and are changing so much. So I understand that, to your point, there's some people that don't want to take this kind of risk. Not everybody's entrepreneurial. But being entrepreneur, in my opinion, doesn't mean that you have to have your own business. It just means
Right.
you have to change the way you think.
That
Because
part.
even if you're working for a company, if you see that company as a client, technically that's an entrepreneurial thinking. So I'm here, I have the skills that I bring to the table to serve this client, to help them get to where they want to go. Patrick, thank you so much for sharing all of that. Now, you started PDP Media to help other people. You said you looked around, and I remember listening to a live or a video where you're talking about it being lonely at the top. And that's a real thing. So you started PDP Media because you wanted to bring other people along. And I want you to tell me more about how you're doing that.
Yeah, great question. Technology is shifting the landscape of careers, whereas before, at a younger age, especially back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was still an aspiration and dream of many folks to find an organization where you can grow skills, develop, and rise through the chain. Today, technology is changing the landscape so quickly that it feels like loyalty is no longer a thing from these company brands. With that being the case, we have to shift our thinking and the way we navigate the space. I was realizing this coming from a technology background and then working at these other technology startups, how they use their systems to influence outcomes, how they partnered with organizations, and how at the end of the day, what they cared about was top line revenue growth, which is annual recurring revenue. That was always important. And so what I realized is that a lot of people don't have the education to really understand that. It's not their own fault. Sometimes you grew up in a household that had these belief systems. And what do you do as a kid? You follow your belief system. This is what you know, so this is what you do. But now that we have so much technology and so much education is being shared, you can change your mindset to realize what these organizations are doing and how they're using your skills to develop the organization. And at the end of the day, you may be left out. PDP Media's purpose is to help not only empower, but to educate you to learn more from other people, much like yourself, your dope backgrounds, your experiences, learn from other people. Because if you're able to tap in and learn from other people, then that can give you a leg up that, you know what, Adesi, she's experienced this. I look like her. There's a chance that I would experience that as well. Let me find out, how does she navigate that? How does she overcome that? And then if she did it this way, I can do something similar. PDP Media's same focus is to do that same thing. I have this weekly hustle blog where I talk about things that we go through. I spotlight leaders on my lives. I do these Wednesday lives, whether you're a business leader, your healthcare organization, or an individual looking for another opportunity, like you want to use my network to create an opportunity for you, which is you're looking for a job or you're just looking for additional collaboration. I spotlight people like that as well. And then I also do these dope little video resumes where I help you create a video resume of yourself so you can put yourself out there in different ways. I use my platform, I use my brand, I use my spotlight, I use my network to bring forth these things that I never knew. I wish I had somebody that would have helped me give the game sooner.
I'm glad you mentioned hustle blog, because that was our first encounter. And I was like, this is incredible. This is amazing. And it was just uniquely you. I don't know if other people do it, but you're the one person that I know that does it. And I love the way you set it up. So I remember trying to answer the questions. I realized that I had only one more shot. So I had to forget about being perfect and just do the thing. Can you tell me what gave you the idea? You also talked about helping people do video resumes, which is not the norm, because a lot of people feel very uncomfortable, on video or talking about themselves. So talk about like your vlog and this video resumes. What gave you the idea and how they've been working out so far?
Yeah, if you look at the way we're trending now, social media, all these brands, they're getting bigger and bigger, and more people are spending more time with their phones in their hand. And so I was like, how can I capture the attention and get my messages out there? What I realized is visibility is king. The more visible you are, the more credibility you have. Whether people like you or not, whether they agree with what you're saying or not, what organizations and what these brands are looking for is they're looking for people who are comfortable with themselves, who are authentically themselves, who are able to share whatever's on their mind in such a way that other people resonate. And here's the thing, I talk about leadership development. I don't think there's a whole lot of people outside of leadership development that's actually following me. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But my thing wasn't to capture the whole market. I was like, let me just start doing something and see who this resonates with. Let me create my own audience. And I did that just through visibility. And then the thing that why I created the video resumes is because a lot of these companies, they were adopting technology where if you were a job applicant, they would send you a link, have you answer your questions and send it back. That was the way they were pre-screening you to determine whether or not you were a good fit for the organization. I was like, okay, if they can do that to pre-screen applicants, why can't I do that just to spotlight applicants, right? So I wanted to reverse that. And that's why it was part of PDP Media. It was part of my hustle blog that I wanted to do, is I just wanted to spotlight people in such a way that was different, spotlight people in such a way that helped get their voice told, spotlight people in such a way that made them visible, spotlight people in such a way that helped share their brand voice. And that's what I do today.
I love that so much. When you talked about finding your own community and your own niche in the market, I heard someone say that a lot of people start out as entrepreneurs or start a business and they think, I can get everybody, I can make money because I can get everybody. And they're like, you don't need everybody. You just need the people that resonate with you. So my community is African American STEM primarily. I have other people that join because they love what I say. And that's the power of knowing what you want and where you're going, because you're going to attract people you didn't even think about it in the first place. So I want to ask you this question for my community, my core community specifically. You're known to say that when you own your story, you own your future. Tell me what you mean by that. How can women in STEM, especially early in their career or in leadership, embrace this idea of owning your story so you can own your future, so that they can start now to do what they need to do to grow their impact and their influence, and it becomes easier as they go along?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing today is realizing that if you're understanding the shifts in the market, the shift where we are today is companies and these brands are growing, but the loyalty feels like it's going away. And if you're thinking that, hey, I want to build a career and stay with an organization 15, 20, and 30 years, you may be in for a newsflash that, you know what, these are few and far between. Knowing that and educating yourself with that, I think it's important to use the tools that are available to create that visibility. And that's generally in social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Stack, whatever you want to use. I think it's important to put yourself out there because that's what's going to create more opportunities for you than anything. You can be a young healthcare professional just coming into the industry, and maybe let's just say you are a nurse and you're working in a nursing department and these other nurses have 15, 20 years of experience, but you're fresh out of school. You get that imposter syndrome. Oh, man, I don't really belong here because these nurses, they've been doing this for so much longer than me. But what you can do as a young professional coming into the space is you can start putting yourself out there in such a way by maybe you're spotlighting patients' journeys. Maybe you're adopting your company's SOPs and processes and you start talking about your best practices. Maybe it's talking about how you develop a work schedule and how it applies to increasing patient outcomes. Maybe you're asked to speak or looking for an opportunity to speak at your company conferences or whatever you have. This is how you position yourself as a young leader to create visibility, because visibility is king nowadays. By creating that visibility, what you can do is you can fast track your career by additional 5 to 7 years in that visibility by doing some of the things that we talked about. I can surpass somebody who's been doing the same job 15, 20 years. I've created additional opportunities for myself. If I'm a nurse and I enjoy patient care, which is great, but eventually I grow old of that and I wanted to do something different. Now, because I created that visibility, I can step into other positions. I've seen so many nurses that are now CEOs of these healthcare organizations is because they didn't go the traditional route anymore. It wasn't just about starting with patient care. Now I'm more visible, which creates opportunity for me to get into marketing, the med device side. Now I can get on the technology side. Now I can get into product management just because I've created visibility for myself. And so those are the things that I promote by creating visibility through PDP Media. I think there was another question.
No, this is great. Like, I love the way you answer this because you're telling people what they can do. And it just brings back memories of a couple of years ago. I was walking, a colleague of mine, his fiance at the time was a nurse, and she wasn't going to do, well, she was in nursing school. And she wasn't going to do bedside nursing when she graduated. And she told him there were 90 different things I can do as a nurse. And I was like,
Yes.
tell me more.
Yes.
And I love that you said this, because some people feel that they are pigeonholed into this is the thing that they've seen everybody else do, and that's the only thing they can do. And sometimes some people realize they want to do more and they don't know how, but you're just giving them how. Now that social media is out there, it's democratized, anybody can get on. You have your profile, it's yours. You can use it however you want. I love that you said it's an easy way to fast track your career and create other opportunities for yourself. So
yeah,
this is great. This is amazing.
And you talk about women in STEM, and I mean, they should be doing the same exact thing. STEM is so huge, and people don't realize the impact STEM has in our everyday lives, the additional opportunities that you can create for yourself, like yourself. You were a year-long, I would say, corporate hustler, and you decided that you wanted to become an entrepreneur. Some of that was in your background, but you created visibility for yourself. You became a TEDx speaker. Guess what? You created a platform where you and I are having a podcast. Guess what? You've got these worldwide recognitions and been featured in publications because you put yourself out there. Well, other opportunities where you're connected with like-minded individuals. If you're a person in STEM and you're looking to have impact, stay focused on your vision for yourself. Most times we come into an organization and do what we're told because we don't know any better. We look at the job description and the job description says do this and that, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to do this, that, and that. But what if you want to separate yourself like I did by getting my education, my master's degree and all that? What if you want to separate yourself? That's where visibility is going to come into place. Even in STEM, we can impact and affect change with STEM just by going against the grain. Somebody needs to raise their hand and say, you know what, that's great that we've been doing things like that before, but what if we did it like this? What if we actually pivot and did this? What if we collaborated with this type of industry and bring forth some different type of ideas and personalities and things like that? That's how you affect change. And that's how people in STEM can actually do the same.
I love this. Like everything you said is incredibly amazing. And I want to bring up something because you've talked about how you came out, the work that you did, and how you got yourself to where you want to go. And your vlog that I participated in, or video interview, it's all around the hustle. And recently, especially with everything that's happening in the world right now, the word hustle has become quite controversial, and for good reason. I spent 20 years in the industry. I know what hustle does to you if you don't go about it the right way, because the way we've been taught isn't the way it's supposed to be. So I want you to tell us what hustle means to you and how leaders and individuals can balance ambition with alignment. And I'm saying that because you also brought up something very important, which is what's your vision for yourself and your career?
Yeah, a lot of people think of hustle as a negative word. I think of hustle as empowerment. Hustle, listen, hustle back in the day means you're going to bust your tail, work your ass off, and you're hopeful that you're going to create an opportunity for yourself. Hustle today means strategic alignment. And I want to help people understand that hustle today means strategic alignment. How can I position myself, put myself in the rooms, a mentor or benefit from other mentors? That's what hustle is about. It's about positioning. It's about opportunities. So when I look at people that look like me, when I tell them, let's step up our hustle game, only thing I'm talking about is mapping out your vision for yourself, finding those people that's going to help you get there, and then strategically placing yourselves in the rooms to amplify your brand and your presence. That's what hustle is about today. So the thing we should be focused on is, how can I go from here to here? How can I connect with this person to that person to this person to this? I've always wanted to be that 6-degree connection from the person that I needed to be connected with. So if you look at my following today, I don't grow my following just to say I have a load of followers. I grow my following so I can I can be nearest to the people who are actually decision makers, who are game changers, who are doing crazy things in the industry. And if my name becomes the brand, if you start to see me more and more, then it's crazy. This persona that, hey, not only is Patrick doing dope things, but Patrick is probably the person you need to reach out to for this. And I become a hub, I become a connector for additional opportunities. And that's what I'm trying to do as well around the world. I'm just trying to be a hub for other people where you can use my background, my resources to help you grow. And you can do the same thing in the hustle economy.
So please, it doesn't mean you no longer hustle. It just means start with your vision. Make sure you understand what you want and let everything you do be aligned. People ask me all the time, like, how do I network? How do I find these people? And I always tell them, don't think about the people that you want to see or meet. Think about what you really want. Where do you want to end up in the future? What's your goal for your life? Then walk backwards to what can I do now and who do I need now to get there? So that way, it makes it so much easier because you're not trying to meet all the people that could possibly maybe help you. You're trying to meet the people that are aligned with what you do. And it's so much easier because you're no longer going out of your way. For example, have a conversation with somebody if you have absolutely nothing in common with.
Let me tell you how visibility works. This is how you create opportunities for yourself. When we talked about that 6 degree of separation, let's say you're a young professional and there's an organization or an individual that you would really like to connect with. What I'll do is I'll find that person on LinkedIn or whatever social channel, but then I want to look at the 6 different people they're connected with. And I'll connect with the lowest person on that rank. I want to connect with that person and then ingratiate myself within that ecosystem. If this person is connected to the person that I would really like to develop a relationship and I start being visible within that person's ecosystem, what's happening is because of these level of connections, the person who I really wanted to connect with, they start to see me because I'm already in the ecosystem. And that's what networking actually does for you. You don't have to be connected to that organization. You don't have to be connected to that executive leader. You have to be in the ecosystem. And that's what we should strive to get in that ecosystem. And it all starts with your vision. Closed mouths don't get fed. And where a lot of young professionals make mistakes is they will join an organization, but they never share the vision that they have for themselves. So what happens is you're doing these quarterly reviews with your supervisor and they're checking off the list. Hey, Patrick, you did this right. Great. I'll see you next quarter. You never use that as an opportunity to share the vision you have for yourself, but you're still getting promoted or you're getting passed over for opportunities. Why is that? Because your closed mouth is not getting fed. This is when you want to take the opportunity. When you're going through your quarterly reviews and you're checking things off, you can say, Patrick, that's great. Thank you for that quarter review. I appreciate the feedback you gave me. I should also share with you, this is where I see myself for the next 5 years. And based off the feedback you're giving me, I would love for you to help me map out my journey to get there. There's a couple of different ways you should do this. One is, as soon as you start interviewing for a job, this is where you share your vision with the recruiter, right? Say you're the recruiter, Desi, and I'm interviewing for a job and I'm like, okay, man, this is great. I'm loving everything that this job description says. I fully believe not only can I do the job, but I think I'm going to excel at the job and deliver at a rate that everyone's going to be happy. Here's one of the things I'm interested in knowing. As a young professional who's interested in growing my career, please help me understand the tools, the mentors, or the resources that's going to be available to help me scale my career. Because that's an interest of me. I know I'm going to do this job well, but I also want to grow beyond the role. Then you want to pause and listen, because this is going to help you understand whether that organization even have systems or tools in place to help young professionals scale and grow their career. So it starts at the interview process, right? And then on those one-on-ones that you have with your supervisor, you keep reminding that person your aspirations for yourself. Very quickly, you're going to realize whether that organization or that manager actually supports your vision. And that's going to help create some insight on what you need to do next with your career.
This is gold. And when you say closed mouth don't get fed, I say it all the time.
Yep.
Nobody is going to know what you want if you don't talk about it. It's very important for you to talk about it. And even in organizations, people do that, but also in communities, they are part of associations, communities, networks, because they join them to grow their network, but they never say anything. They don't talk about anything. People don't know what they're looking for. And I tell people all the time, I had this workshop with a friend of mine owns a not-for-profit, had a workshop, and there were a number of interns there. After the workshop, I was like, listen, reach out to me, whatever you need. One person did. And we had a conversation, and she basically told me what she was looking for. A couple of weeks or months down the line, she reached out to me. She's looking for a job. Because we had that conversation, I knew what she wanted. I immediately connected her to people at a company where she wanted to intern. She took me up on my offer to have a conversation, and then took me up on my offer to reach out if she needed anything. And it basically worked out. So whether or not she got that internship at the time, she now knows key people in the organization. That if she follows the same strategy, she's going to keep in touch with them, and it's going to keep building up forever.
Absolutely.
So I love that you brought that up. And I want you to talk about your book.
Yes.
because it has everything you talked about today, putting it all together, something about having something that we can hold physically or virtually to refer to again and again to get some of the skills and values and strategies that you're talking about here. But your book is Hustle to the Top, a modern guide to scaling your career growth.
Yes.
People who have been taught to let their work speak for themselves and realize that it doesn't work. Can you please tell us why you wrote this book and how we can use this book as a guide for our careers to make it everything we want it to be?
First, let me say this. You talked about the book and then you mentioned physical or audio or whatever, right? I should share with everybody is I'm one of those guys. I love books, but I hate reading a book. Like I can't physically have a book in my hand. It just makes me sleepy for whatever reason. I just can't read books in that way. So I'm an audio guy. I have to listen to it. You can go buy the physical book and have it in your hand, which is great. Hustle to the Top. You can find it on Amazon. You can also go to PDP Media. You can download a version of it there as well. But if you like the audio version, also have the audio version. And I partnered with this. I would assume the guy's black because I liked his voice. He sounded similar to me. I like the way he flows. So I paid him to record the book. So it's in his voice. I think you would like it. It's inspiring. And what the book is about is just using the tools like we talked about today. We're in 2025, and I wrote this book a couple of years ago, and I was seeing where the market was going with AI and technology, and I seen the things that I dealt with, whether it was imposter syndrome, whether it was finding your voice, whether it was finding mentors, whether it was using technology. So you might as well use it as a playbook to help you navigate your own personal career journey. That's what it's about. It's using all the tools that we have today, technology, AI, and all that good stuff, and then mapping out your own personal journey, networking, things like that. And you're going to find it in the book. And it's an easy read. You can read it within a couple of hours. And I think you're going to find a lot of insight in the book. So Hustle to the Top, a modern guide for scaling your career. Check it out.
Check it out and buy the book. It's on Amazon. It's on PDP Media.
Yep.
And Patrick, because I always want people to take action because I believe that action brings clarity. And action builds confidence. So if there's one thing that people listening can just go and do today to put all this stuff we talked about together, what would that be?
I would say your vision board. This is so cliche. People say, write down your goals, write down your goals. It's so powerful. It is so freaking powerful to not only write down your goals, but to visualize what your career success looks like and then determine a strategy to back into that. We talked about how hustle is just strategic alignment. I want you to get strategic about your career success by visualizing what, if everything was aligned, all the resources, what would success look like for you? And then let's back into that. And that's baby steps, right? We want to baby step into what our success looked like. Celebrate the smallest of small wins because the hustle game, meaning the lifelong journey of career fulfillment and happiness, it's forever into the day you retire. If you're going to inspire yourself to keep up the hustle, then it's important that you not only understand where you're going, but you take some time to celebrate your small wins because that's what's going to provide you that added energy to keep changing chapters. And then the last thing I would tell people is don't be afraid of a pivot. A pivot, understanding that this direction in my life was great, but it no longer fulfills me today. I want to shift and go into a different path. You look at me, I'm a military guy. I went from the military to the mobile home industry to independent and assisted living, then to healthcare technology, and now I'm an entrepreneur. We're talking about 5 different career pivots, and I did that only for self-fulfillment. This is for me. This is nobody else. Nobody told me you need to do this, Pat. This is for me. And at the end of the day, nobody is working for you. You're working for yourself. Whether you're working for an organization or you're an entrepreneur, you're still navigating your own personal journey. Celebrate your wins. Be in alignment with your vision and don't be afraid to pivot. So I would say that.
Yeah, so you heard, Patrick. So first of all, what's your vision for yourself?
Yeah.
What's your vision for yourself? Celebrate the wins, no matter how small, and don't be afraid of a pivot. What are you working on right now that we can support you with? And also let us know where people can find and connect with you.
Let me say this before I tell you what I'm working with. At the beginning of this year, I was having this conversation with my wife about just my background. I was raised just by the single mom. I didn't know who my dad is, right? never been an active member of my life. So just my mom. She ended up passing away during the pandemic in 2021. It was such a game changer for me when she passed away that I realized how short life really is. But I'm bringing this up because I wanted to reconnect with who I was. My wife ended up getting me this ancestry DNA test. And what I found out, and this was February, March this year, I found out I was Nigerian. It was like 35% of my makeup was Nigerian. Over 70% of my DNA makeup was Western African. And I was like, wow, I was so freaking excited. And I don't even know why, but I really was.
I'm excited because I want to claim everybody.
So I'm Nigerian. I actually forgot what the question was, but that journey was so freaking exciting for me. You can always connect with me as THAT Healthcare Guy across all social channels, whether that's Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or YouTube. I coined myself as that healthcare guy because I came from the healthcare world. And I think healthcare is what connects us all. It's the biggest industry worldwide. We're all impacted by healthcare. I would always have something to say or connect somebody through my 6 degrees of connection through healthcare. And I'm always working on spotlighting people and creating opportunities, not only for them, but for myself. So if you're an organization, if you're an individual, and you're looking to grow your brand presence, I would say connect with me, and we can collaborate in a lot of different ways, whether that's spotlight you as a talented applicant for other opportunities, whether that's your leader and you're doing some dope things behind the scene, you want to get your story told, spotlight with me. A podcast called Health Hustle Chronicles, where I spotlight various leaders around the world. Also have this YouTube series called From Broke to Boardroom. Those are on YouTube as well. And both of those are designed just to give you more insights into the journey, what the hustle is, that strategic alignment that we're talking about. Or if you're a brand and you wanted to partner, because I'm working on several brand deals behind the scenes, you want to connect with me on that as well.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Patrick is that healthcare guy on all socials, and he's Patrick Hart on LinkedIn. He has so many incredible things going on. So please don't sleep on this. He's opened the door, walk right in.
Yes.
So for everyone listening, this has been absolutely incredible. And Patrick, thank you so much for saying yes and for being here and for sharing so many insights. What do you think, if you're listening, what have you discovered today? Is there anything that you heard today that you're going to take action on? Patrick left us with 3 things that we can take action on. You can start there or you can add on to that. Is there anything that you learned today that you did not know before? Go ahead and follow Patrick on his social handles. And if you're looking to connect and work with him, you know where to find him. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you so much for being here today.
And I leave everybody with this. We grow old too soon and wise too late. We're in a position right now with the way technology is flowing, the way information is being shared, that we can become wiser sooner and actually live the life that we want and deserve much faster. So connect with your boy, that healthcare guy. I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you so much. And join me again for the next episode. Bye.
Bye.